go. Got it. Greetings, adventurers. This is Kazu here, and today we have a comprehensive guide on the adamantine weapons and armor, as well as the ancient forge location, which is available within the first act of Baldur's Gate 3. This guide is up to date based on the released version of Baldur's Gate. There haven't really been any changes other than the new effects for the adamantine weapons and armor, so if you are a veteran and have played the early access, skip to the timestamps below to where the actual weapons and armor are if you want to see what the new effects are. I think they're pretty awesome, and I'm actually really excited to use them in my playthrough, and I highly recommend you get them for yourself. But if you are new to the game, if you're a newcomer to Baldur's Gate that waited until the game finally came out to buy it and play it, then you're in for quite a treat. I have a complete guide here on this ancient forge location, which can be a little bit tricky to get to. It might not be as intuitive as you might think, but we'll break down step by step how to get to the forge, how to find the Mithril Ore, how to find the modes, and then how to actually use the forge to essentially summon a boss fight and get yourself some really useful weapons and armor. So we're going to get straight into the video. Already in the background, I'm showing how to get from the actual Grym Forge location all the way over to the ancient forge. You're going to have to get up and around over to the right side of this area, and then to the top where there's a large bridge that leads into a catwalk and floating platforms. So as you can see here, we're using the levers to move the platforms, and then with just 2 characters you can do this whole navigation. I do have Astarion Misty Step over to this platform because you're going to want to have one of your characters go along this left side while you have another character going along the middle of the catwalk. And the reason for that is there's going to be another set of moving platforms that you have to move around for your party. If you have a flying spell, you can kind of avoid this and just do this by yourself. But if you don't want to burn any resources other than like a Misty Step or some sort of large jump, then it's pretty easy to do. Again, instead of using Misty Step, I could have used a jump spell or enhanced leap spell. Once we get to this second set of levers and platform, we're just going to hit them. It's going to move the platform over to our character, and then we'll be able to cross this kind of big gap, which you also could fly over. And in your guys' playthrough, when you get up to the little hole area where you have to go up to the bridge, it is going to be blocked off by rubble. There's going to be deep rothes that are going to be in front of that rubble, and you can convince them to actually break the rubble for you. Alternatively, if you can't convince them to break the rubble for you, you can use a powder satchel charge or shatter spells to explode this rubble. So it's really not too difficult to get around. So once you get to the ancient forge location, you're going to want to make sure that you get all of the modes, or at least the modes that you want to craft. You're going to only have enough Mithril Ore to craft 2 adamantine items, so make sure you get the modes for the armor or weapons that you want. So starting with the mode locations, you can see here we have the Longsword Mould. Just right off you get onto this middle catwalk, you're going to see the Longsword Mould. It's pretty much impossible to miss. And then for the next mode, which is going to be the Scimitar Mould, you're going to find it on a corpse next to where the second set of levers are. The third one's going to be the Splint Mode, which you can find to the left of the Ancient Forge waypoint. And then we have the Mace Mode, which is on the right side of the Ancient Forge waypoint. And then over here, you're going to see there is an ambush of some animated armor, which once you deal with these guys, you're going to be able to access the Scale Mail mode, which is laying on the ground right next to them. And then last but not least is going to be the Shield mode, which, if you saw that set of double doors when we were going to the left side to the second set of levers, you're going to want to go back and unlock that door. Then head up the stairs. This is fast forwarded, this gameplay. And then we're going to find a skeleton. Watch out on the right, there is an ambush, but we're going to find a skeleton over here that has the shield mode we want. And so after that, we're going to go down into the Adamantine Forge. There is an ambush over here with a bunch of mephits. It's pretty irritating, you'll deal with them. And then after that, you're going to find a vein of Mithril Ore, which you can break open and get. And then where we fought the animated armor, we're going to run back And behind there is also going to be another mithril vein. So that's how we get our 2 mithril ore. And you're going to need 1 for each item that you want to craft. Alright, so after that, we're going to head down to the actual Adamantine Forge. We're going to click on the Crucible in the middle, and then we're going to insert our Mithril Ore into the Crucible. Then we can click on the Mold Chamber on the right. We can insert your mode of choice. We're going to start with the Splint Armor for our character. And once you click the Insert button, then you can head on over to the lever over on the right. Pulling the lever is going to drop the Forge Hammer. And it's also going to start moving the platform down to the lower area. So once you have the platform lowered down to this area, you're good to go. All you're going to have to do is pull the lava valve on the right next to where my character is. And it's going to flood the chamber with lava. It's going to start a boss fight, and after you beat the boss, you can essentially finish crafting your piece of armor. So now we're going to get into the part of kind of covering the actual boss fight itself against Grym. For those of you who are unfamiliar with this fight, it is basically a big ass construct that you're gonna have to take on. It can be a difficult fight if you don't know what you're doing, so hopefully the information here we can arm you with is gonna make it much easier. For me, it took only 2 tries on tactician mode. It really wasn't too challenging, but I did know what to expect ahead of time, so that helps a lot. Alright, so going into this Grym boss fight, this is a level 8 construct that has 450 health on Tactician difficulty. If you're not playing on Tactician, he's going to have less health. I think baseline is 225 if I remember from the early access, but it might be a little bit more than that now. The main thing to note though isn't his health pool, it's more so his damage and immunities. If you examine Grym, you're going to see that he's immune to all forms of damage when he's not in his superheated state. But if he is standing in lava, he will become superheated and he will be vulnerable to bludgeoning damage. So you're going to want to basically beat the shit out of him with a maul, a warhammer, or a club or mace. Any sort of bludgeoning damage weapon is going to be extremely effective against him. As you can see here in the fight, I used Fairy Fire to give my characters advantage against Grym. He has low dex, so it should be pretty easy to land things like Fairy Fire. And then we're swinging in with a warhammer on Will, who is classed as a paladin. That's going to be pretty suboptimal here. If you have something like a berserker barbarian or a character with great weapon master or a fighter with action surge, you're going to be able to output a lot more bludgeoning damage in a lot shorter of a time span, and you could have multiple characters hitting him. In terms of the actual mechanics of the fight, again, having Grym in lava is going to cause him to be superheated so that you can deal damage to him. Make sure you keep your characters outside of the lava as well. And then after that, you're going to also notice that whenever you hit Grym, the character that hits him will become the prime target for him. They'll pull aggro essentially. So whoever you want to actually pull the aggro at the end of the round, make sure they're the last person to attack Grym, because otherwise you might override who the prime target is and have him target someone else. Once you get Grym to pretty low health, you're going to want to use Misty Step or some other form of mobility to teleport your prime target to the center of the arena. Make sure that Grym is still superheated. As you can see here, the lava disappeared, but he stays superheated for 2 additional turns after that. So we still have him superheated, and we're going to be using our prime target to lure Grym into the center of the forge near where the hammer is. Now, once you have Grym next to the hammer, you're going to have somebody pull the lever for the forge hammer. It's going to smash Grym, and if he's in the superheated state, he will be instantly knocked prone and take around 100 to 120 damage. It's going to be a huge chunk of bludgeoning damage, which you can use to either finish him off or to lower him even more and make the fight much easier for you. Keep in mind that when Grym is low, he is going to summon 4 Mephits on the corner of the arena to fight you. That's where your ranged characters can really come in handy to pick off those Mephits so you don't get surrounded. But after that, you can continue the fight as normal. You can reactivate the lava valve to fill the arena with lava, get him superheated, and then just deal bludgeoning damage to him over and over again. Ray of Enfeeblement will go a long way if you want to mitigate the damage you're taking on your prime target. You could also have like a barbarian or something that has damage resistance to the bludgeoning damage that he's going to deal by smashing the ground and stomping you on the face. He does deal quite a bit of damage, but because his actual playstyle is pretty simple and straightforward, and the mechanics of this fight are pretty simple, I think this is a very doable fight for any party at level 5. As long as you have at least, some decent equipment and you focus on dealing bludgeoning damage to your target. Really recommend here that you use a haste potion so that you can make multiple attacks. If you're level 5 and you have extra attack, you can actually make 4 attacks per turn minimum if you're hasted. So that's a pretty big bonus here. And yeah, we're just going to be beating him to death after we used the Forge Hammer on him. He gets quite low, and overall this is not going to be too difficult of a fight to strategize again, so long as you understand that he needs to be superheated before you can deal the bludgeoning damage. Alright, so once you've defeated Grym, congratulations, you now have your new adamantine armor as well as the Grymskull helmet, which you can loot off of him. It's going to be a heavy armor helmet, which prevents you from being crit. It's going to give you fire resistance, and it's also going to let you cast Hunter's Mark once per day. Super awesome helmet. You can use it on any character that can wear heavy armor. And then we also are going to get our Adamantine Splint. So you can see here, this is an AC 18 armor. It's going to reduce all incoming damage by 2. It's going to make enemies who attack us be reeling for 3 turns. And we also cannot be crit. So these are 2 amazing pieces of heavy armor. Highly recommend you make the Adamantine Splint plate as one of your 2 mithril armor pieces. And so after you beat Grym and you made that armor piece, you can now use the mold chamber again, eject the previous mode, put in a new mode, and make another piece of armor. You could make 2 suits of Adamantine Splint plate, which honestly would be pretty good if you have 2 characters that can wear heavy armor. But if you want to mix things up, you can use one of the other modes to make 1 more piece of weapons or armor or the shield. So we're going to do the same thing all over again, where we put Mithril Ore into the crucible, we put the mold in the mold chamber, and then we're going to hit the lava valve to fill the area with lava, and then we're going to pull the lever to actually activate the Forge Hammer, and bam, you were going to see that another piece of armor has been made. So we made ourselves the Adamantine Shield. You can see that this shield is going to give the enemy attacker who attacks us reeling for 2 turns. It's also going to allow us to use our reaction when a foe hits us to basically shove them prone on a dex save with the shield bash, and we cannot be crit. So this is a really good shield to have. It's not a +3 shield like it was in the early access, but the effect shield bash is quite useful. So this could be potentially a pretty valuable item to have, but I do think making just 2 sets of Adamantine Splint plate is the best. We are going to show you the rest of the items here. So as you can see, the Adamantine Scimitar is going to be a +1 scimitar. It's going to have the Diamond's Bane, so when you're attacking objects, which means like a door, a chest, a structure, it's going to always crit. And lethal weapon means that this weapon can ignore resistance, not immunity, just resistance to slashing damage. So that's pretty good. We have the Adamantine Mace. It's going to be very similar, but this lethal weapon allows us to ignore bludgeoning resistance. Next up, we have the Adamantine Scale Mail. You're going to see it's pretty similar to the Splint, but it only gives 16 AC because it's medium armor. It only reduces incoming damage by 1 instead of 2 as well. Still really good though if you have a character that needs a set of medium armor. And then last but not least, we have the Adamantine Longsword. This is going to have pretty much the same effects as a scimitar, including the ignoring the resistance to slashing damage. Again, it's up to you if you want to make one of these weapons. I do think you're going to find better weapons, especially in Act 2. So that's going to pretty much wrap it up for the video. That's our complete guide on the Ancient Forge. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. I will make sure to answer that. And if you enjoyed the content or found the information helpful, just leave a like, comment, subscribe. It always helps out with the channel. Really appreciate you if you've made it all the way to the end of the video. And if you have, then thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.